Thank you so much, Emily, and thanks to all of you for joining us this evening. So we have a great pair of conversations back to back this evening. First, with Kit and Sunny, two folks who are leading the biomedical field from inside our colleges and universities, and then with a few leaders in the field from in the industry. So for this conversation, we're going to be talking a bit about the pipeline. So San Diego, I'm going to start broad, and spoiler alert for my second set of panelists, I'm going to start broad with y'all too. So be thinking about your answer to this as well. San Diego is already a leader in biomedical innovation and biotech. So what do you, from your vantage point, what do you think it will take to move San Diego from one of the top of the pack to the top of the pack? I'll start with you, Sunny.
So I think that part of that is really focusing on the entire pipeline of talent that is required. And so that means the folks that are the technicians, the folks that are the biomanufacturing folks. And MiraCosta is very proud to have that spectrum of training that allows people of all sorts, so that really truly reflect our community, the underserved populations, women, folks that are in our community that can go to school for a very short period of time and become very productive in the workforce, in biomedical devices, for example. And then you can go on and get a 1-year certificate or a 2-year degree, and now we offer a 4-year degree in biomanufacturing. And then you can also go on to master's and doctorates. So I think it's focusing on the entire pipeline from entry to the high-end scientists that are PhDs.
Kit, how about you?
That's great. So I agree on the pipeline development. That's definitely key. And at UC San Diego, we're looking to really produce alumni who can lead in the 21st century and that have the right skill set and the knowledge to tackle problems that we don't yet know using technologies that haven't been invented. The other thing I would say is that we're really looking to grow the community, because San Diego is a great place to be because we have a strong, very interactive community. And I would like to see us come together a little bit more, and UC San Diego be a resource for the whole community, be it the biotech community or the public in general.
Yeah. So San Diego is perceived nationally, certainly, as a leader in biotech. And I'm curious, and Sunny, I'm particularly curious for your experience at MiraCosta, that you serve, as being the president of a community college, you are serving all of San Diego. You have to serve students from every walk of life, every background, every demographic. And do you think that students across San Diego, especially students from demographics that are currently underrepresented in the biotech industry and at the tops of the biotech industry, do you think that they see themselves in this industry, and what are you doing to help them see themselves in this industry?
I think the colleges in San Diego, there are 10 community colleges, and MiraCosta is one that is located in North San Diego County. I think they are all focused on high-skill, high-wage, high-demand jobs that include technology, that include biotechnology, life sciences, healthcare, and MiraCosta's faculty represent the community that we serve. So when the students are in the classroom, we try to make sure that they see people that look like them that are successful. And so certainly in our chemistry, our STEM, our physics, our biology, our technologies, we strive to have faculty that are going to encourage and motivate and inspire people to know that they too can be successful in this field. And so I came from the biotech arena myself. And so I'm particularly enthusiastic about biotech and life sciences and making sure that all of those in our community that seek to work in that arena are able to do so.
Yeah, and Kit, I would ask, we are days after a look at some of the inequities that exist in our college and university system nationwide, and that certainly touched Southern California. And I'm curious how do you approach making the UC San Diego experience accessible for biomedical innovators who might not come from the backgrounds that are currently leading these companies?
That's a great question. So first, we have a strong partnerships with the community college system, and we accept as many transfer students as we can, and that partnership is really important. We also have an increasing presence in the community, so we have launched programs, the Chancellor's Associate Scholars, that provide full rides to students from our local communities that are more diverse than the communities that were involved in this recent scandal. we place a really high priority on diversity at the faculty level, the graduate student level, and the undergraduate level. And we also pay really close attention to our educational metrics to make sure that all the students who come to UC San Diego are able to succeed, and so we make sure we're serving all the students well.
Sunny, to go back to the point that you just made about making sure that students understand and have access to the full range of positions that are available in some of these companies, do you ever worry? And I'm curious how you handle this being a dean or being a college president. I'm curious how you handle this being a dean. Do you ever worry that the students that you are educating for good, well-paying jobs in parts of the biomedical industry will reach a point beyond which they can't advance? And how do you prepare them for a lifelong career with career-long mobility in this field?
I think it's very important to us to provide career ladders. So there are some students that need intensive training in just a couple of months and they need to get to work. And so we want to make sure that they can get to work in a relevant industry where they can have a family-sustaining wage, but then that they can continue either part-time or full-time as their life can allow them to, onto a degree. And we know that if a student has a bachelor's degree, that they are going to be less likely to be laid off, that they are going to earn more money. And so we want them to have a continuous pathway with multiple entry ramps and multiple exit ramps for whatever their life situation may provide. And we are very successful at that. And at all the spectrum, all the way through the bachelor's degree. So we're very proud of that at MiraCosta.
One of the points that I think is fair to say may still be a challenge for San Diego especially is inclusion at the highest ranks of biotech companies. I want to refer to a 2016 story in Stat by Meghana Kashavan, where she pointed out that 2%, at the time an estimated 2% of the leaders of biomedical companies in San Diego were women. 2%. National average, 7 to 9%. So it's not, nobody's doing great. San Diego's doing particularly ungreat. From your vantage point, Kit, what is that about, and how do you prepare your students to break past those barriers?
Oh, that's a great question. So what is that about? You know, that's a big question. I will say that when I came to UC San Diego, there was a salary equity and equity study done that showed that some of our departments at UC San Diego were among the lowest in terms of diversity. And since that time, we've made a huge effort to improve faculty diversity and the graduate student diversity. So I think that on my end, I'm looking at the pipeline and making sure that our culture is inclusive and warm and welcoming, and that people feel comfortable no matter what their background is. And for me as a dean, that means listening to all the voices in the room and training my faculty and my students to listen to all the voices in the room to make a better decision. We've made a huge effort in recent years to diversify our PhD program and had a huge jump in our number of underrepresented students. And the female students have always slightly outnumbered the male students, and we just need to keep that going and provide good role models for them.
Can I jump in and just say,
please.
I think for all of us that have achieved this level of achievement, I think we all look back at people that tapped us on the shoulder and said, I see that you could do that. And so I think for us, it is important for us to tap people on the shoulder and say that they have great potential and to mentor them as possible. I think none of us got here because we did it on our own.
Now, when I talk and in chatting with some of our attendees tonight, one of the things that I hear from leaders in the industry at this moment, biotech is moving really fast. And what they're worried about pipeline-wise is not the folks coming in, not undergrads who are building careers starting at the very beginning at their companies, but attracting those folks who are at the top of the field doing hard science work, who can slide right into a lab and do path-breaking things that are going to make the future better. And I'm curious, Sunny, from your vantage point, What role do you see MiraCosta and your work playing in serving that pipeline need?
You know, whenever we do a faculty search, we do a national search, and we have people from all over the nation that apply. It's really easy to sell San Diego. It's a wonderful place to live, right? What's not so easy is for people to understand the cost of living in San Diego, and the wages really haven't kept up with the cost of living. And so this gap, you can make more as a STEM major, unfortunately, living in Boston or San Francisco, Texas, certainly North Carolina. And so that is our challenge, is we have a preponderance of small companies in the San Diego region as a whole, and they generally pay less. So I think understanding the cost of living is significant, and then trying to keep wages that are, you know, certainly not going to deficit a STEM major from living here are important.
Yeah. And Kit, I'm curious, how do you address this challenge? And also, what do you say back to those industry leaders when they say, "Great, I love that young research assistant that you sent my way, but I kind of need a head scientist for this lab"?
Yeah. So I tell them, take a look at our PhD students and our postdocs at UC San Diego. These are the students that should be in a position where they've supervised students. They're doing cutting edge research. And so those are the people one group of people that we send into those labs. And we recruit globally for postdoc positions and graduate school as well as from California. And a lot of our alumni stay in the San Diego region because they love it here. And if they can find a way to stay, they're always happy to stay.
What do you think, when you think about the university and college scene here in San Diego, what do you think as an ecosystem the higher ed institutions of the city and the region need to do to make sure that that it's not the college in Boston that's recruiting, that is sending its PhD grads our way, but that it is UC San Diego?
So I think we have to talk about how amazing the community is. UC San Diego is located on the Torrey Pines Mesa with 600 companies within 5 miles of the university, and it's as well as a number of major research institutions, and we have great partnerships with the community colleges and California state universities in our region. And this is a uniquely collaborative, fun, driven community, and we get along really well. We compete with the world, but we don't compete with our neighbors in sometimes in neighboring institutions, but not in the same department, right? We're very competitive, but yet we have fun competing. It's incredibly easy to work across disciplinary boundaries, and so we're able to create and have trainees that have worked in multiple disciplines. So I think we need to start talking more about how amazing our community is, both in the biotech and in academia. So I've experienced both.
Yeah. So I'm going to ask one more question, and I'm going to seek one question from the audience, and my rule is no manifestos. I'll give you the side eye that has been given. But Sunny, my last question for you. One of the things that I think is cited sometimes by folks in hiring positions within the industry is that what can be a barrier to advancement for some is actually not the hard skills in their work, but is soft skills, is also all of those things, the delightful flora of a liberal arts degree that may be neglected in the lab. And how do you, what preparation do you give your students to really thrive on that front in companies?
Yeah, I like to call those skills power skills because they are essential, the 21st century essential skills. And so we try to embed them within the curriculum. I became a dean out of the faculty ranks because my colleagues didn't have and didn't want to exhibit the kinds of skills you would need as an administrator. Communication, management of a budget, dealing with difficult situations, having difficult conversations, going out and doing outreach and those kinds of things. So I think we try to embed in students the skills that they're going to need, not only to be good employees, but to be good people. And that's what's going to help make them successful in addition to their skills at the lab bench or in the workplace.
Now let us take one non-manifesto question from the audience. Great, sir. Please say your name. Who are you?
My name is Luis Martinez, co-director of Startup Grind San Diego. So kind of give background to my question. We know that sometimes D&I has been painted with a broad brush, and then we have communities such as women and LGBTQ have been in the forefront. What usually gets left behind are descendants of the diaspora, of the African diaspora. And so what other programs do you have, either UCSD or MiraCosta or the community college system in general, that are specifically for those groups of individuals?
So at MiraCosta, we have a program called Emoja as one example, and it is a program that focuses on the African-American student through a combination of linked courses and role models and mentors and curriculum that is relevant to their culture. And so that's one of the things that we use. We have a lot of specific conferences that we do for STEM outreach specific to the Black student population within our community, the Latino population within our community. We start very young. We start at middle school with reaching out to these communities and introducing STEM to them. As early as elementary school, we have a STREAM festival where families come and they participate in science without ever knowing that it's science. So we have a lot of outreach specifically to populations that are important to our community.
And at UC San Diego, we also do a lot of outreach and recruitment from high schools that are predominantly minority-serving high schools. We have programs to bring these students to campus where if they need the money, they have a free ride to campus. We also have academic support as needed and resource centers for a variety of different communities that are homes where students can go and they'll be with students that they resonate with them. So we try to support the students at all levels, from incoming students to providing financial support and then also providing a sense of community, because that can be hard to find on a large campus.
Thank you for your question. And thank you, Sunny, Kit, and to our audience.